You also assume that the administrator password is not known to everyone. Probably there's only one person who's the administrator, himself or herself, who will know this password, nothing else, nobody else. We also assume that users cannot access each other's files. If a setup is proper, then the user cannot access each other's files. Right? So you have your files and your sister or brother may have their own files, and you don't give access to these files to your brother or sister. That's by the nature of the user account itself. It's not that you go into special setup to do this, but it's already there in most systems. Then there's no network, there's a standalone system. Maybe a few computers on a LAN. Maybe you have a small LAN setup for your family, or you have a wireless access so that you and your parents and your family can use it. So we assume that this is a safe system. Right? So do you think this is a safe system? Yes or no? Okay, or maybe. Huh? Maybe. Okay, maybe. So the general security myths. We always assume that passwords are not guessable ones. That's one thing. Others can't guess our passwords. That's one thing. The other thing is, even if they are not guessable, they are not crackable. You cannot find out passwords by doing some kind of an attack. That's another assumption. We also assume that only a few people know the password, so it must be safe to use this computer. So that's also a big myth actually. And there is another thing. You can get access only to the files after we log in. So that's another myth. These are three myths which can make a personal computer that is actually a standalone computer not really safe and secure. Okay, can you see why? Why these would be myths? Have you tried any of this? Is there anyone here who has cracked the password? So, the teachers are afraid of you, they won't know you. You should get answer. You must have done it. Huh? Nobody has done this? I'm quite surprised. Well behaved students. That's not a good class to have. Okay, so let's talk about passwords. So there are few things that we can do to find out what passwords are. The key idea is, first of all, if I'm going to use a password, I should remember the password, right? And I'm no superhuman than what you are, right? Probably my memory is as good or bad as your memory. So if you want to guess my password, you'll probably see that, oh, what are the common things that people would do, right? This is something that you want to be easily remembered. How many of you have passwords like that? Something that can be easily remembered. None of you. All of you? Yeah, slowly, hand coming up. Okay. You have passwords that are easy to remember. Because one main reason why we want easy passwords is that we also have too many accounts for which we need passwords. Right? Right. So that's one of the things. The key idea is user has to remember, right? So we can start with guessing. Right? Guess the password as if the username, my username is Shankar, try password, Shankar123. Right? How many of you have passwords like that? Aha, you're smart. Right? You're smart. Right? So, I know, you don't want to put it up because your friends may notice and start using your accounts. Right? So, or try this even more common thing, ABC123. Right? Or variations of this, 321 CDA, 321 ABC and so on. Right? So, these are very common things. And the other thing is, many times we end up using the same password in multiple sites or locations. Right? So I may have a home computer for which I have a password. I go to my office. I don't want to deal with a new password there. Right? I probably end up using the same password there also. And so all of us have multiple email accounts, multiple social networking accounts, and so on. Right? And we begin to use the same password in many places. Don't we? Okay, how many of you have at least one password saved in many places? More than one place. Aha, see? Right? So it puts me also. Right? We do that because we need to remember it. You don't want to have one password for every little account that you create. So there used to be a time when I used to do that. Then I realized I don't really care anymore about a few things. Right? So that's a personal call that we made. So anyway, we do this. The key problem in such a thing is if somebody breaks one, they can actually break it all. Right? So let's say I have access to your Gmail account. Right? Somehow I'm able to get your Gmail account. I'll immediately try that on your Yahoo account or I'll try that on Facebook and so on. Right? Right. So there are ways to find out what the login IDs are, what the accesses are and so on. So you would do that, wouldn't you? Right? So let's say I leave my Gmail account with you, my password with you. It's natural for us to snoop around, that's another thing. Right? Human beings, we want to snoop around and see what happens and so on. At least guess these things and maybe put a different picture than yourself. Right? In your friend's profile page or whatever. We have done that, come on. Right? Have we done that? Right? If there is something which is left over, maybe leave a status message which is very bizarre or something. We do that. Right? The other thing is, if you know the user well enough, right? So this is for a random person. So I could walk into a net cafe and I see somebody not logged out. I could do things there. But this is actually more personal. This is somebody that you know personal information about them. And in that case, it becomes even more, slightly more easier maybe. So for example, things like date of birth. Right? So use part of your date of birth, if not the whole date of birth, maybe the year of birth or the month of birth or some such thing. Vehicle numbers, the vehicle numbers that we have, that becomes part of passwords, or telephone numbers, or anniversaries. It could be anniversaries of various kinds. So I don't want to rake up this issue in student crowd. Right? Place of birth, your own nicknames, pets' names, such things. Right? So how many of you have passwords in which at least one of this is part of your password? At least one of this. Okay, so this is getting there, right? So you see that it's not so uncommon. The final thing is, you can always do a bit of social engineering. So you can always say that, hey, I'm this such and such a person calling from here and I need my password reset. Can you reset the password and tell me? Right? So you could try that, for example, with your cell phone companies and so on. That's why cell phone companies have so many of these checks. They ask you what is your phone number, what is your date of birth. They have various information stored, so that it's unlikely that somebody, even who knows well enough, may not know all the information. Right? So social engineering is a skill which is outside all the technical skills. Right? You just talk to people, sweet talk them into getting something done for you. Right? Have you done that? Have you seen people doing it? Yeah, you just saw me doing it. I asked you how many of you have passwords just like this, right? And blindly you're putting your hands up, aren't you? Right? That's also a bit of social engineering. So if I have any more information about you, I could start using that, right? So social engineering is also various kinds. And this form of social engineering is saying, I'm in an emergency and I need this done now. Can you get this replaced? So always humans at the other end think that, oh, this is something serious. If it happened to me, I would expect the same thing. Thereby, let me do this for my friend. Let me do this for this student or whoever. And that can itself be a problem. So let's look at passwords. Passwords, for example, right? So some of us may have this habit of writing down passwords in a small piece of paper or something and keeping it with us. Is there anyone like that? So I'm not using the social engineering skills. Don't worry. You're not being recorded anyway. I am being recorded. Right? So, diary. Do you write your passwords anywhere down? Anywhere at all? Okay. So, is that good or bad? Writing down passwords? Bad. Okay, let's think about it. Think about this, and at the end of the session, I'll ask you questions anyway. So, many times, when people do in fact write passwords, they try and keep it as accessible to the system that they are using anyway. So, you'll see that it's written out in a corner of a table, or written in a piece of paper and put inside a drawer in the same computer table and so on. Various places. So I want to narrate a little story from World War II about Richard Feynman. Have you read Richard Feynman's book, Jolie, Mr. Feynman? Okay, there's one soul who has read this. So there is this famous physicist. Actually, he's a Nobel laureate and an excellent teacher and a brilliant researcher as well. But he was involved in the nuclear setup for World War II. So they were trying to produce a bomb, and this guy had this uncanny habit of going and picking locks. Right? So there used to be all these locks in different kinds of places with different kinds of securities and so on. He'll just go sit there, maybe chat with his boss for a while, and the process open up his drawers, take stuff out and so on. Right? So he used to do that very often, and people thought that he's actually a good lock picker. But what he was really doing was guessing on passwords of people, finding out if people had written down passwords in the corner of a table, under the table or somewhere, and so on. So there is this interesting piece in the book. The book is called Jolie, Mr. Feynman, but there is some safe for which people have forgotten the password, and he's trying desperately to get the lock pick within an hour or so. People assume that he's a guru in picking locks, but in reality he does not know anything about picking locks. All he does is guess passwords in a very intelligent way. So if you are capable of doing that, if I have a password written down somewhere, you could probably come and see that and take it down and so on. So this is